So what we're going to do today is a little experiment, a little bit of game on what are the advantages and disadvantages for shield and buckler. Because for the most part, I think we all agree that handing a novice a buckler versus handing them a shield, they're going to do better with the shield, especially with less experience. That's going to be kind of our litmus test. From a data perspective, we want that to hold out because that's kind of a universal truth we can anchor to. What I'm curious about is what comes after that. What are some of the other things we start to see? What are the advantages versus the disadvantages of the buckler versus the shield? So what we're going to do is we have two teams, and they've been divided out and they've been given 30 minutes. Both of them have a captain who has a varying level of experience with at least single-handed sword. Brian more experience with the side sword, Joe more experience with the messer. And we're going to have them both give 30-minute pointers on how to use a sword and shield. All the other fighters we have very little experience with single-hand sword, a lot of long swordists. After 30 minutes, they're going to fight Lane and I. So Lane and I are going to be the litmus test. We're going to keep fighting with sword and buckler just to keep it as a controlled variable. And we want to see what comes out from the points. What do we kind of see on that? I haven't given them any tips because we're going to try to capture what a common fencer in these times might do. Somebody who's just going to learn very quickly and figure out how to fight. So our teams have split up. They're going to start doing their 30 minutes of training. We're going to interview them to see what their strategy is going to be going into it, and then we'll interview them at the end once we bring the group together to see what comes out. So, hope you enjoy.
Give us a little intro to your team.
Hello, we're Team Slash and Bash. We're here to slash and we're here to bash, and no one's gonna get in our way.
So, first question is, what are your initial assumptions about sword and buckler before fighting? What do you think it's going to be like?
I think that it's going to be really defensive. I think the sword and buckler guys are going to have to take the aggressiveness on this one. Pretty much with the shield, you're a castle. So it's going to be really hard for them to get around, but it's interesting to see how they do it.
And then, which do you think you're going to prefer in the end? Like, do you think you're going to prefer sword and buckler? Think that's going to be more fun than longsword in general?
No, I'm a longsword guy at heart.
Same.
All right.
I'll always will be.
All right, that's it.
Okay, so we are Meyer Sucks with an X, and on it is me, Ryan, Brahan over there, and Tony.
So, how do you think sword and buckler is going to feel in fighting? How do you think it's going to be different from longsword?
I think it's going to be, I think footwork, which is the critical part, is going to be largely the same, but I think the squaring of the shoulders is going to be difficult for students who have only done longsword. For students, just like how I think longsword might be difficult for students who have been doing sword and buckler a lot, because you're not exactly squaring your shoulders a lot. Most of the time it's one shoulder forward with your foot. But yeah, I think that feeling is going to make it very alien to newbies.
And so, based off of just like initial impressions, which do you think is going to feel more fun overall with more experience, sword and buckler or longsword? Just purely based on your first impressions.
God, that really depends on the person.
Yeah.
So I will go with I'll stay with longsword, just because. Yeah, again, it depends on the person, but I'm only choosing longsword because it is like the most popular in HEMA right now, and most people are sticking with it over
All right.
a long time. So.
That's perfect.
shooting a video here. Keep going. Point.
All right. Go. Well, that's 5. That's a chest thrust. What an ending. Tap me. Oh no.
Begin. All right, was that torso? Was that torso?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, 4-0.
That's a headshot.
Oh, okay. 5-0.
5-0.
5-0. 0 doubles. Get. Hit. 1-0. All right, out of bounds, 2-0. Out of bounds, 2-0. All right, 5-0, 0 doubles. Started.
I got the wrist shot. I'm just making sure.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. 1-1, third double.
Y'all good?
Same place, right here. Right on the corner.
Dang it.
Well, yeah.
This is tradition.
Duo? There you go. 4-1. Yeah, you gotta watch out for that.
That's debut.
On that last exchange?
2-0. 2-0.
Call that double.
Okay. 1 double, 2-0. I'm gonna call that for lane because you're out of time, Braun. No, that's 4-0 because you hit him in the head.
Oh, you're right.
All right. 5-0, 1 double, lanes up.
It sounded like a hand. 101. Dalmatians.
I'm not gonna say that's good contact.
No. No. That's just kind of a.
Yeah, it's like a tap.
Yeah. 101. I think we both gotta stop and check that. Resulted in that. If it didn't feel like a hit, it wasn't a good enough hit. Not from that angle. Go on.
All right, 3-0. 3-0, 1 double. Sounded like a double.
Didn't hit me. I don't. I
Someone
didn't
made a
feel
sound.
confident at all in hitting. Yeah.
Okay. There was a sound. Like, it sounded like plastic was hit. So
I don't think so.
is that 4 or 5-0?
But wasn't it 4-0 before that? I thought it was 4-0 before that.
I thought it was 5-0, 1 double.
Yeah. I will want to hit that.
I will.
Okay.
Ready?
Let's get this over with.
Yeah, okay.
Wow, look at the dent on that thing.
Wait.
Oh, yeah.
So, first thoughts, sword versus buckler, what was the preference?
Definitely we were at
Or
a
buckler versus shield, I should say.
felt a lot more secure.
With the shield?
Staying in range, yeah.
As someone who's inexperienced with either the buckler or the shield, I definitely prefer the shield. I feel like I'm able to capitalize on its defensive capabilities a lot easier than the buckler. It was easier for me to move my sword around a large shield than it is to move a small shield with the sword.
What are your thoughts, Barhan?
So obviously, advantage, a lot of advantages to the shield. Someone who's used to using the buckler, though, it did take a little bit of getting used to, though.
Yeah, because you're one of the few that starts with buckler, then picked up shield for this one. So, what about you, Ryan?
I also prefer the buckler because it has more options. You're definitely limited by the shield, like a lot.
Yeah, I felt fighting sword and buckler, that was pretty natural as a good kind of use case against people who are less like familiar with swords but less familiar with like sword and buckler. But the shield, I had to be a lot more creative about getting those openings. Like, it forced me to step offline more. It forced me to, I think, thrust more too, to just find openings or get that shield moving. Because as long as that shield was stationary, it was a chore to get past. What about you, Lane? What did you notice about
Shield was
fighting it?
a lot more work. A lot more work.
Yeah, to unpick.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I did notice, though, that with the more experienced sword and bucklery people, the shield did seem to be an impediment almost, whereas the inexperienced people did not really seem to have that much issue with it.
Yeah, that was one thing I noticed about Ryan specifically, who won both of his rounds with just the buckler, and then fought close in both sword and using the shield. It was like it was more of a hindrance. Like, not to speak for you, I feel like you prefer the shield just if you're having to deal with like other things on a battlefield, but like the buckler in this dueling context, you definitely felt more comfortable with it.
Yeah.
So, cons of the shield versus the buckler. Like, where do we think the buckler was actually better?
Visibility.
It's really heavy
Yeah.
to hold in one arm with one securing point. It was extremely exhaustive if you went past 2 or 3 minutes. And if you had an exchange that went longer than about 3 strikes, it felt like your arm was about to fall off.
Yeah.
I give the buckler that, and that you could probably fight with it for much longer.
Sure.
Personally, I didn't find the shield to be too burdensome, but the visibility was the most noticeable factor for me. Because there are many times where I'm trying to hide behind the shield and I lose visual on you, and that makes me very nervous. It's like, I don't know where he went.
Yeah, I had one where I kind of popped around Joe's shield, where I think he just kind of lost sight of where I was going.
I definitely did.
Yeah.
I definitely lost sight of where your sword hand was at.
Baron, how about you?
Also, kind of less when it comes to attacking. It feels like there are a few less angles with the shield to attack from than with the buckler. And then with the buckler, that just kind of attacking felt a little. Transition was a bit weird.
Sure. So it felt shield just better as a static defense. Once we grabbed the buckler, though, that mobility, did feel nice too, right? Yeah. So we recorded what your guys' fighting techniques were when you said, here's 30 minutes, learn how to fight with these weapons. How do you felt that your initial game plan going in with the sword and shield favored?
I think it worked.
Yeah.
We're gonna have to go on Eric for this one because he did it way better than I did. I don't know if that was just because I had prior experience with sword and buckler, or if I just was having an off day today. But Eric definitely did way better with the system than I taught him with
Yeah.
the sword and shield. So, Eric,
What?
would you like to explain what he just?
What was the question? I'm sorry.
Oh, just how'd you feel your system you walked into with sword and shield worked?
I mean, I felt pretty comfortable with it. My strategy was to let the shield do most of the work in the sense that I don't need to move it around. It's quite large.
Sure.
I don't need to waste energy trying to move it into the opponent's sword when a small change in body position will move the entire shield for me. That being said, the buckler doesn't offer a lot of defensive capabilities, so it wasn't very hard for me to get my sword around your buckler when your sword was busy being caught by the shield. But yeah, beyond anything else that we've practiced here, this feels the most intuitive and like most natural for me.
Sure. Any thoughts about this grind? I did notice, like from a score perspective, once adding the shields, people who were less familiar with one-handed sword, much more potent, much less doubling. For like Ryan, I felt like it was more of a hindrance for you because you were far more comfortable, especially with like side sword and buckler, side sword and dagger.
Yeah.
Like it just felt restrictive for you. But you did win your fight against me, so it still speaks to you, even though, like from a dueling context, you're more used to the other weapon sets, like throwing a shield. Like it was a hindrance, but it didn't like make you too less effective.
It was still close though. Like still very close.
Yeah.
So I know it's definitely a style difference in the two tools. What would you like to expand on that? How?
Yeah, definitely. Well, it seemed like your team was much more focused on like turtling and thrusting and just keeping me back. Like I was able to capitalize when you committed to cuts, but like when you were turtling and thrusting, I had a huge problem with it. With your team, it was much more like more Balinese-esque style. I mean, there was much more fiddle bow. There was more fluidity to it. It worked, but I don't think it worked from just out of the gate as much as turtle and thrust.
Yeah.
That was definitely a big thing where I was like, if we commit to a cut outside of the shield, then they could hit our arms or our hands or maybe even our head, because it's hard to bring this up when your arm's in the way. So I was like, never have your hand farther past the shield than this.
Right.
Are we gonna explain our system?
What we explained on the earlier videos. Did you feel like do you feel like your strategy changed from what you thought you were going in?
No. Actually,
Okay.
no.
Stuck the same?
Yeah, like I think it worked out pretty well though. So
Yeah, well, that's kind of the thing. Like we know from just a novice perspective, shield is almost certainly going to be more comfortable than buckler. Like we expected going into this. But one of the things I think is a huge takeaway is how effective we can make you with a sword and shield with very little practice. I mean, we told you guys, you have 30 minutes, good luck. And, there was already this shit. I mean, there was a little bit of fatiguing on Lane and I's part, but I think the point differentials were much more than just fatigue kicking in. There was less doubling, there was more points being scored against us. So you see that shift with just 30 minutes of sword and shield.
you guys talked about visibility being a problem. I took like a trick from Targa to like make that not a problem, and it's when you hold it, you actually hold it at an angle like this, so you have full visibility of their body, and then this corner protects this side of your head completely.
Yeah, we were definitely more of keep it back behind you.
It protects this side of your head completely, and then like if you by the time it gets to the point where they can't see their hands, then the tail of the shield actually covers it, so you don't need to worry about it.
See, I wanted to do this at first, which is what you were talking about.
Yeah.
But I was really afraid that maybe they could get around the shield and start pulling it because we only have one secure spot.
I don't even think
I was very afraid of that.
Yeah.
So I was like, keep it into your body as much as you can, keep them in front of you as much as you can, and if they try to swing it, you just stab them.
There was like a weird optical effect too, because we're wearing all black, but the shields were all white. So we, from just a visibility standpoint, we knew exactly what was covered, and it felt like it.
It felt like everything.
So any closing thoughts before we kind of wrap it up?
Interesting. You can see the shield definitely did a lot of work for us.
I love the wear and tear. Yeah, they did their job.
Something that occurs to me, it may or may not have anything to do with the shield system. I was able to much more consistently upset the grip on the sword hand compared with the shield buckler. That may be entirely irrelevant to the shield versus buckler. I think it probably is, but
Yeah, you were just that, and it could have just been like when you deprive an entire zone, you recognize one even further too. Yeah. Yeah. Any other closing thoughts?
He was actually able to knock the sword out of our hands. That was one weakness that the Turdling had. If he hit the sword at a good angle and hard enough, it would bounce off or just completely disarm us. He actually disarmed Eric at one point.
Yeah.
We'll edit that out.
Yeah.
There was a moment where I felt secure enough having my hand behind the shield that my grip was loose enough that Lane was just able to swipe it right out of my hand.
Yeah, I was able to use the shield as a guide to just
Yeah.
drive all that force right down there.
I tried to do shield knock a couple times and it didn't quite pan out. Yeah, right? Well, I thought like, okay, I'll lock down the position. It was just like, bonk. Okay, well,
Lane
moving
did
on.
that quite a bit. That's all these
Yeah.
scuff marks off to the side.
It was paying off for me though.
Any other closing thoughts? Sweet. Well, always a pleasure. Good job, guys, and try it again later.